Hailing frequencies open, and welcome to Star Trek Discoverage, the live podcast that boldly goes into excruciating detail about this week's episode of Star Trek Lower Decks. I'm your host, Aaron Coker, a.k.a. Caliban, and the thing that people forget about the game of diplomacy, it's about the compromises. Joining me on the show, as usual, is my co-host. She's also the co-host of the Generations Geek podcast, a more or less family-friendly celebration of geekdom. It's Ella Pearson. Ella, welcome back to Discoverage.
Thank you. I am so happy to be here.
And you almost weren't here, from what I understand. Your trip didn't go exactly as planned.
Have you ever been going downhill in a Ford E350 and the brakes go out?
I can't say that I have, but I have driven on highways in the Appalachians, and they have those huge sand tracks, for if an 18-wheeler guy, if his hydraulics go out, the idea is that you just pull off onto this thing and just plow through the sand and it stops your rig. But that sounds kind of dangerous. Were you in a hilly territory?
Well, I was in Spokane.
Okay. I mean, that's the mountains, or part of the mountains.
Sure. Yeah, there was a hill. Pretty much.
you gotta make it a more dramatic story.
Okay, well, dude, I had to go off.
So I was on Rainier, and we were on the descent.
So I was coming down out of the Rockies, right?
Yeah,
and
right, like
the
that.
brakes go out. Pretty much best case scenario as far as brakes going out in a large vehicle. I also drive a Prius, so.
Oh yeah, that's a lot different.
It felt especially large.
That's a lot different. Well, we're glad that you're safe, and we're glad that you're back with us tonight to talk about Star Trek Lower Decks. Also returning to the show tonight, a musician and a podcaster, the co-host of the Virtual Theater podcast and the Pro Wrestling Required Viewing podcast, and my co-host on the Backtrekking podcast. It's Gooey Fame. Gooey, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks. Good to be here.
It's great to have you. We've seen, or I guess heard, a lot of each other recently because we've been taping a lot of podcasts, various podcasts that we both work on.
We've been in the Trek podcast bunker.
Yeah, in the trenches, the trenches.
The trenches.
Yeah. And I know that we've got an episode of Backtracking that's coming out today that we both are pretty excited about. It was a listener request. We compared the 1990 miniseries It with the Voyager episode The Thaw, which both feature people's deepest fears, scary clowns, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, the clown's a dead giveaway.
I feel like the prop master really had to restrain themselves, like, no balloons. We can't. I really want to do balloons. We can't do balloons.
They really had restraint in that clown design, and I think that they probably were thinking about that.
Yeah. And I wonder if, as two comedy guys of lore, like if Michael McKean and Tim Curry ever run into each other and like, oh, you were the clown, I was the clown. Your clown was okay.
Well, this predates all of that, but I guess they were in Clue together, right?
That's true. Yeah, that's right.
Maybe they were both like, hey, we should play clown.
Yeah.
Maybe they planned this.
Yeah. They're just smoking on a break. They're like, I just want to play a clown. It's weird. I don't know.
Christopher Lloyd, you want in? And he's like, no.
I'll
be in Star Trek a different way.
Yeah, I've got a different plan. We were talking about it, and I compared Stephen King to the Riddler, which I'm not sure is from Batman, which I don't know how apt that is. But one of my problems with Stephen King, he's obviously written a lot more books than I have, but is that a lot of times he writes about these scary things, but he always seems to want to have his characters figure out what the scary thing is, or like the action behind it. They eventually figure out, oh, it is a being from another world, and he's feeding on us and our fear, and he's trying to get us to be more scared. And they always kind of seem to understand what's happening at the end. And to me, like, a scary story is never like, oh, I finally get it all. Like, things that you don't understand are scary. I think you mentioned, Gooey, on the show that one of the scariest things is when is it Bob, or I can't remember which character, but he sees his father and he's just like a swamp skeleton, and he's like, what's up? I'm waiting for you to die. Come on. And just that juxtaposition of the weird and the mundane, like, that is really scary.
Yeah, it's scarier when it feels like an answer. There is an answer, like they do a good job of selling you that it's like unexplained and scary, but like there's got to be an explanation. But
Yeah,
you don't know what it is.
Yeah, But
And
like
a lot of Stephen King has that until they are like, and then there was the turtle or whatever.
yeah, the turtle. Yeah. Yeah. And Stephen King, he's like the Riddler. Like the Riddler always has to call Batman before he robs a bank. He's like compelled to do it. And I feel like Stephen King's the same way.
I didn't pay as much. I paid more attention in the episode to like you explaining your comparison, but now that you say like he's like the Riddler, at face value, I'm like, actually, he's cool then. I think the Riddler is cool.
Just imagine
So Stephen King is cool.
Stephen King in a green leotard with question marks all over it. Yeah.
Yes.
And a domino mask. I think that's the way to go. Well, it's great to have you back, Gooey. This is the part of the show where we talk about news in the world of Trek, and there's actually a couple different sort of news stories flying around the world of Trek, and we'll touch on a couple of them. One is a story of bad news. It looks like 3 Star Trek series will be leaving Netflix at the end of September this year. Star Trek, the original series, Star Trek Voyager, and Enterprise will all be leaving Netflix, not to be watched there anymore.
That's bold.
No.
It is. It is. The
Bold
speculation.
move from Netflix?
Well, it's not bold to not continue paying the
oh.
license, I suppose, for
Because it'll go
them.
on Paramount. Because we have Paramount Plus, you guys.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's there now, yeah. And then, of course, I think it's on Amazon Prime still. You can get it there as well. But Netflix says, nope, we're not giving them the Friends money or whatever. Let the deal
I
expire.
was like, how dare they do that to me? And then I was like, wait, we have the whole thing.
Yeah.
We're paying for
All
Paramount
Star
Plus.
Trek streaming is gone from the earth.
This is a good strategy to get me, I guess, because
To go over to
I don't-
Paramount Plus, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not committed to any
Ooh.
streaming service, but I'm regularly watching Trek for stuff we do and just in general watching through at like various seasons. So that's Netflix is kind of what I have because I just bounce around on there. But now it's like, ooh, maybe I got to go to Paramount because they got it all.
I guess you have to. Plus, if you want to watch those Magnum PI reruns, that's what I'd be
God,
there
sure.
for.
Me
I
too.
know.
And I think
When in Rome.
do they have Columbo? If they have Columbo, I'm never getting rid of Paramount Plus.
They have the iCarly reboot.
Oh, that's true. They got that too.
That's a must see.
Interesting. That's
All
a
those
meme
South
joke.
Park movies.
Yeah, and all the South Park movies. I was also thinking that we'll talk about it maybe a little later, but Zoolander is a Paramount film, and so they had an entire episode about Mugatos, and I'm like, come on, you're not going to make a Zoolander joke.
They almost did. I thought they were going for it with the pronunciation.
Yeah, well, I'll make a couple to make up for it. The other Trek story that I wanted to talk about is not really a story so much as an announcement, and that is that Annie Wershing, the actress Annie Wershing, will be a recurring character. She'll be playing the Borg Queen on season 2 of Star Trek Picard.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
So we
That's
know
the thing they're revealing.
Yeah, so we know that, what we don't know what's going to go on. We know that Q will be there, and it looks like maybe there's some kind of timeline or alternate universe type situation going on. But we will have the Borg Queen appearing at least twice, and she'll be played by this actress Annie Wershing, who, I'm trying to think of like what I've seen her in. I know that she was on like 24. She might have been on like Once Upon a Time. She's on Bosch, so she's like TV veteran actress.
That's
Ooh,
cool.
Castle too.
Oh, Castle, yeah. So if you're like Alice Krieg, are you like, yeah, I'm fine? And
I was about to say, like, is she not? She's not busy, right?
well, she actually does a lot of movies, I think, still. And then if you're Susanna Thompson,
Yeah.
are you like, well, I would have done that.
Yeah. That's too bad. They were both pretty iconic.
Yeah, all 3 of these actresses are. They have that kind of cold factor. You can see all 3 of them, telling Janeway that she's never going to escape or something like that. So, I
I
think
remember Alison Krieg was in Alice. She was in the Silent Hill movie.
yeah,
and she
there's a
had
video
kind
game
of that
movie.
same. Yeah, I had to get it in.
Yeah.
She has like kind of a spookiness about her that it's like, oh yeah, she just like looks like a Borg queen in real life.
Otherworldliness. Yeah, you put a little mucus on her, and she's a Borg Queen. Ready to go. The Borg Queen is always wet for some reason.
Wet, and you just throw some tubes on there. and
Yeah.
you're good.
Good to go. A little blush and a strong lip color, and you're ready to go. Well, let's talk about Star Trek. We've just seen the 4th episode of the 2nd season of Lower Decks. It's an episode called Mugato Gumato, and we're here to talk all about it. But first, as always, a warning. We're setting course for the spoiler zone, listeners, so be warned. We're glad you've decided to join us, but if you haven't seen the entire episode, spoilers are now incoming. The official synopsis for Mugato Gumato is the USS Cerritos is dispatched to a planet to investigate an unexplained sighting of a dangerous Mugato. This episode was written by Ben Rogers, who is an executive story editor for the series, and he also wrote the episode Crisis Point last season. And it is directed by Jason Zurich, and Jason Zurich has a lot of experience in animation. He's a storyboard artist on the DuckTales reboot. He's also been a director of episodes of DuckTales. He's also directed for shows like Ben 10, Tron Uprising, and The Legend of Korra. The stardate for the episode is 58036.4. And here's a couple facts from the episode. Obviously, this title of the episode is a reference to the monster from the original series, the Mugato, which apparently the Mugato, a little bit of Trek lore, was originally named the Gumato in the script. But for some reason, D. Kelly just couldn't pull that off. He couldn't say the word Gumato for some reason. So it was changed to Mugato, and then D. Kelly and Bill Shatner just proceeded to say Mugato throughout the entire episode, and so that's why we get those three things. Also the Will Ferrell character in Zoolander. And the title, of course, is a riff on the expression of tomato, tomato. In this case, it's you say Mugato, I say Gumato. This episode is also the first appearance of a Kzinti, apparently, in Star Trek since their appearance in the Slaver Weapon, the animated series. And I missed that. I think it was a background character. I know we've already got, like, Caitians, cat-like aliens on board, but apparently there was a Kzinti somewhere in there.
Didn't catch
Anybody spot the Kzinti?
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
No.
What else is going on here? Some of the voice talent that we've got in the episode. Phil Lamar, of course, reappears as Admiral Freeman. Jessica McKenna is back as Barnes. Ben Rogers, who also wrote the episode, is back as Stevens, the hapless Stevens. And I think that's pretty much it for our facts. Let's get down to it. What'd you guys think about Mugato Gumato? And Ella, to commemorate your return, why don't you tell us what you thought?
Oh, thank you. I guess I wasn't very entranced.
No.
Not that it was bad, but I just kind of felt like it was happening to me, and I was sitting there.
You were in the episode.
Does that make sense?
Gaze is also into you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Which, I am, sick. So maybe I'm just a little cooped up or whatever. But sure. I was just kind of like, I'm really just here, and the episode is playing, and I wasn't absorbing.
I can understand that. Gooey, what about you?
Okay.
I'm similar. Only in that it's like I feel like my investment into both seasons so far of the show is just like. It's low stakes for me. Yeah. I just throw on an episode. It's 20 minutes long. It's like kind of funny. It's got like a okay story going on, and I'm just like, all right, that was fun enough. It's not like
sure.
Some of the other current shows that I don't really enjoy as much, but it's like an hour of time, and the story doesn't wrap up. So it's like I don't really like love the show, but every time I watch it, I'm like, yeah, that was all right.
Yeah, for this particular episode, I felt like I've anybody who listens to the show has heard my sort of divided opinion about the series in the past, but I felt like the show was like more divided than ever tonight. So a lot of times I feel like the show has two halves, like the enemy within that are fighting with each other, or maybe like Lazarus fighting against the other Lazarus, where it wants to be like this balls out comedy show and sometimes succeeds at that. And it also just really wants to be animated TNG and sometimes succeeds at that. And somehow this episode, it like managed to go 100% on both of those. Like instead of being like 50% and 50% over 30 minutes, it was like 15 minutes of 100% and 15 minutes of 100%. And like there were some comedy things that really worked. There were some that were like, I feel like this is below the show, like what they're doing. But then there were some things that were really, really funny. And then I also really liked some of the character development that I feel like we don't get a lot. Like I've complained before about how I think, it's fun to have like Mariner be very capable and Boimler be like the sort of sad sack want character. But we never get to see like Boimler or characters like Rutherford like get one over. And I like the fact that in this episode they're so scared of her, and then it turns out like obviously she's not what they think she is, and then their nerdiness and their dumb like little game that they're playing at the beginning allows them to solve the situation in a way that doesn't involve kicking people in the balls like 20 times, which is sometimes absolutely like the prescription for dealing with the problem.
Only sometimes.
Yeah, a non-zero percentage of the time.
Yeah, you know what's funny is while I was watching it, I was like, geez, this must be what Aaron feels like sometimes when he watches this show. And I'm excited.
All right.
He's not.
Well, it's funny. I think that sometimes, episodes that people say like, oh my God, that's so good, are often ones that I go, I did not enjoy that. But I feel like both myself and the people who usually like the episodes I don't like, I think we could be on the same page for this one. This feels like a weird detour or misstep. And I wonder if it's down to Rogers, the writer, because he wrote Crisis Point last year, an episode that a lot of people liked, but I think was isolated, and it was sort of an event episode because it's in the holodeck, and it's sort of felt like a heightened reality. And this is more like, we're really doing this? Like, we're really doing, like, the monkey sex jokes? Like, this is all canon, right? Everybody always says this is canon, so we're going to do this right here.
Yeah.
I like the monkey sex
joke. Gooey's on board.
Only because I think I said this last time I was on here, but, like, that I was annoyed by the, like, bleeping. I was like, why do you have this show on your streaming service where you can play whatever you want, but then you're censoring it? It was like, it's funnier when like you put it in there knowing it's going to be bleeped, because it's, I don't know, because it's on like TV and you're like, they're going to have to bleep it.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. But then I was like, okay, at least like it really wasn't that funny, but I was like, this is pretty foul. Like now it makes me feel like I'm, not that it's good, but it's like, okay, they actually committed to like making a show that's like, this is an adult animated show. Whereas like previously I was thinking like, why not just make this a kid's show? You know, like why not just take out some of the stuff and make it a kid's show?
See, I think it would really work as that, but then we get the Starship Troopers shower scene from last week, and it's like, well, clearly this is supposed to be for adults. You make me think of the situation that Marvel has where they have a bunch of sexless characters who can't say the F word, and then something like Deadpool comes along and makes, millions and millions of dollars as an R-rated movie. And that's like, but that's okay. Like, it's not, Captain America's not going to start dropping the F-bomb, that we can push that off on Deadpool. And they have it backwards in Star Trek, where they've presented Discovery, I think this really engrossing, a family show where the characters are dropping F-bombs left and right. And then you've got Lower Decks, which is like this raunchy adult comedy, but they can't swear. Like, they should flip those two things.
Yeah. And I don't think this show has a lot of depth to it, like it doesn't have a lot of depth, like that me as an adult viewer is like, ooh, like I really want to get into that. Instead it's more like I just kind of casually throw this on. So it's like, I don't think it's presented like an adult show. I think it's presented as like most of the storylines I feel like are solid enough, self-contained stories, but I don't know, like they could push it a little bit more, I think.
You don't want to know the story behind the bartender who's from Vermont or something, apparently?
No, that's kind of funny.
He's got black eyes like a doll's eyes. Sorry, go ahead, Ella.
No, I was going to say I kind of like when they bleep out the swear words. I think it makes me laugh harder.
Seems...
I know the feeling, because like there are shows where that happens where I'm like, that's funny, but and I guess, it's not like it's not like the executives of like Paramount Plus or whatever are making the show. So we're just entering a new world now where censorship is also on the streaming service, I guess, for family, or, so it can be presented to anyone who comes along. But
yeah,
I don't know. For some reason, that gets in my craw when maybe it's not that big of a deal.
I think we've talked about this, but I think we talked about this on the first season too. I think maybe you brought it up, Aaron, and I was like, I like the bleeps.
Oh, about how we should keep the bleeps.
well, I think I was like, bleeps are funny, and you were like, why are they bleeping it? maybe it was you, Gooey.
I was very anti-bleep.
Oh, this is we've
I'm rehashing.
We've done this before.
Oh God,
it's a time loop episode.
Number 3, guys. Number 3.
Let's talk about Tendi's subplot real quick, because it is real quick and sort of tidy. She's been assigned by Dr. Ta'ana to scan all the shirkers, basically, all the people who are too intrepid to go have their physicals, and so she's got to go take care of that. And it brings up a question that we've talked about sometimes on Enterprising Individuals, which we won't belabor here, but how does the HIPAA sort of, body sovereignty thing work? Apparently it doesn't in Starfleet. I mean, obviously, if you work for a military, you are subject to certain things. But why can't they just use like the ship's scanners to scan them while they sleep or something like that? That seems to be about the same as her interrupting people's dates and like running up behind them and like scanning them really fast.
And during their date, like telling them about health issues they might have.
Right, yeah.
For their date.
Yeah, just
that was funny.
So, yeah, I mean, like, that's, but we've started, I mean, like, I don't expect Lower Decks to draw a line on that. What I liked about it is, I like that Dr. Ta'ana seems to be more involved, mostly for punchlines, but I think they're good punchlines. I like how when she's finally cornered and she's like, all right, well, I guess it's time to just take care of this. And she just runs off like a cat, at the vet. But I wonder if Tendi this seems to be like the 5th or 6th storyline where Tendi's like, I'm going to get respect. Like, is she ever going to get respect?
It's going to be a real will she, won't she for the whole series.
We really want to see her. I ship her with respect. Hard.
Well, we know she has it in her, right? Because she had in the last episode where she was doing the whole Orion thing where she was like, I'm in charge. Kick my boots.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. She
doesn't want to be that person anymore.
Yeah.
She left that behind.
Yeah, that was an interesting side of her to see. And I wonder if maybe she represses that. Maybe she feels that way all the time and we just don't and we don't see it.
Doesn't want to be the angry Orion girl.
Yeah, and the answer always seems to be in shows like this that she's got to strut, she's got to let it out. But I don't know, maybe it's more about learning to be to have discipline or something like that. I don't know. But I just
some garbage lesson that Star Trek is teaching us again.
Well, I don't feel like that's something I like about Lower Decks. It doesn't lean too hard on the lessons, but
yeah.
But I just I'd like to see her to get the respect because there's more storylines to come and more bits when she's got respect.
Yeah, usually that's where we're going. Its lessons are very quick. Like being a dork is useful sometimes.
Yeah, right. Or like last week, 2 weeks ago. It's like we don't always have to like take the path of most resistance. Sometimes we can just sneak out the back. Let's talk about the D story, or maybe it's the B story. Maybe it's the F story, where Freeman is dealing with the guy who was trying to buy the Mugato horns from the Ferengi, and then he pulls this scam where he blows his ship up, and then he basically like threatens whoever's dealing with him to give him a new ship and all their stuff.
That was Paul F. Tompkins in that role, yeah. So I like that. It's like it was kind of like you could take all those bits out, and it's like a little, minute-long gag, but it was funny. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an extremely short con. He just gets paid right away. It reminded me a lot of the Simpsons bit. I mean, Simpsons, has done everything at this point, but where the family's house burns down and the insurance guy asks Homer about what was in the house, and he's like, "Oh, my Picasso and my Fabergé eggs." I'm sorry, sir. This only works on real items. Yeah.
He had a similar, maybe it was just the ship full of stuff, but I thought of like the Dr. Rasmussen or whatever.
Yeah.
From TNG.
Yeah.
It's just like totally gotten them out of all their stuff.
Yeah. From the future. Yeah. Yeah. There's more grifters in Star Trek. We've had a couple, but I would like to see somebody who is a grifter, but not written by somebody who was born in the 20s. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd like to see like the modern digital take on a grifter, a guy who's going to like social engineer some information out of some cadets or something like that, or he's going to use the Starfleet technology or the technology of the future to run some kind of scam. It's probably just
pyramid scheme,
or a pyramid scheme. Yeah, all of Ferengi society is essentially a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
Ferengi were back in this, and they were up to their old tricks. Now, they pointed out in the episode, but these were like very regressive Ferengi, and I think Mariner calls them Last Outpost Ferengi.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous that the characters like name episodes, but I guess that's what the show is, you know.
Yeah, that's what the log is called, right? When you look up the Enterprise's log, and it's
gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Captain's log, the Last Outpost.
I don't know what I'm expecting, but it's like, yeah, every episode, it's like they have a deep, like I think of like in Naked Now when Riker's like, I think I remember hearing about this, and he's got to like go look it up. And he's like, oh, all right, like Kirk taking
a shower in your clothes. Yeah.
Now they're like, well, this one time Tuvok did this, and this other time Riker did this. I'm like, man, these guys are Star Trek nerds, I guess, you know.
They're on like Freedom of Information Act 3 at that point. So it's like everything just as Captain Picard speaks, like his words show up on the internet, like it's a direct live blog. And then you can immediately read all the secret information that the Enterprise uses and the troop movements and where they've been. They're not that worried about it. That's why they need Section 31. They're not worried about security too much.
Mm-mm.
I like the fact that
the whips being back.
Yeah, the whips come back. Yeah. Which is like, you know, it's impractical for, you know, a TV show in 1987, but like we could do the whips in a movie or something.
Yeah, it makes sense for wrangling the Mugatus.
That's true.
That's what I was going to say. It's like a rodeo.
Yeah. All right, good job, Lower Decks. You made the whips make sense.
Just get that whip right around the horn.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe the Ferengi in Last Outpost, they're also Mugatu poachers, and they just came from a big score. They're on their way back to their ranch. I love the fact that the solution was at the end that Rutherford and Boimler just do a PowerPoint presentation and just say, like, here's our business model for your Mugato preserve. And the Ferengi are like, it's not bad. It's not bad. I like that.
Do you think you have to take, like, Ferengi Business 101 at the Academy?
Yeah, I think you probably do. I think you probably do.
They knew exactly. They were like, we're going to project a graph, okay? They're going to make so much money, but it's okay because we'll get out alive.
I often wonder, like, what people in the 24th century know about economics, because often when they go back in time, they're like, oh, yeah, that's right, I need a quarter for the payphone because they have money.
Oh, money.
Right. So they're surprised by that.
Capitalism? That's the 2000s.
But they're also all, like, super geniuses, right? So just in the same way that, like, I might read up on Russian agrarianism, even though we're way beyond that. And so if I ever went back in time to Dostoevsky times, I'd like be okay. Maybe they have to learn about the monetary system and like capitalism and mercantilism and stuff like that. So just in case they get trapped or if they're going to visit another planet or another society.
It's like a boring elementary school lecture that everyone falls asleep for.
Yeah. What did our teacher say again?
We used to have dollars.
I think I need to play poker or... Wait a minute, we can swear now, so we have to go shake it in a strip club for some money so we can get out of here.
Especially at this point, because when they first encounter the Ferengi in like the Last Outpost, they're like, oh, they're like how we used to be. That's kind of weird, huh? But like,
yeah.
Now there's been so much interaction that it's like, well, if you're interacting with these people, you got to study their monetary system, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got their they've got one guy, and he's been studying for years, and they've given him all the books, and they get him ready, and they put him in a pinstripe suit and a blue Oxford shirt with white collar, and they slick his hair back like Gordon Gekko, and they're like, "You're ready to face. You're our ambassador to the Ferengis."
Get in there.
Yeah.
Pull your ears forward some more.
Gumato is good.
Do you think like their pitch to the Ferengi? Like, I feel like. I like how it ends in them making this nice little sanctuary when, like, I would imagine them doing more of a, like, Tiger King or something Or just,
Oh man.
Yes.
Doing something totally against regulation.
Yes. I hope Armin Shimmerman has a cameo, because I'm going to pay for him to say as Quark, I will never fully financially recover from this, or whatever it is that the guy says. No, put the teeth in. Put the teeth in. Yeah. Yeah, there's not that.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
They're kind of creating their own TOS situation where if another ship comes back, they'll be like, you guys didn't do anything at all. They immediately started like selling selling tickets to this Mugato sex shows and things like that. They didn't stick to the plan.
Oh yeah, I guess since it is in like Federation space, right?
Supposedly, yeah.
So they got to play by the rules. So like, we'll let you keep your. I would like to see the like red tape after this of like, because she's like, oh yeah, we found some like nice Ferengi. Anyway, they're setting up shop in our space.
Yeah. One more thing that I want to talk about specifically, and that is Patinky. What's the deal with Patinky? He has 5 books on Mugatos. He's read 5 books on Mugatos. Did I dream that, or did that actually happen?
No, that happened.
Okay, I was just checking.
Unless we both dreamt it.
Did that seem...
Dun, dun, dun.
Ooh. A shared dream. Did that seem weird? I mean, I don't want to say that it sounded or seemed mean-spirited. I mean, it's just, it's just a joke. A guy gets his head bit off. But, like, did they just have, like, 2 minutes to fill or something? Like, what was that all about?
There was a lot going on.
It's just so random. It's weird.
I liked his accent, his whole bit. I thought was
Yeah.
funny, though.
Yeah, he's got
Is he from Earth? No.
Yeah, I don't know. He had
British. The British accent is universal. Okay.
Yeah. That just means that he's
Okay.
That just means he's posh.
He had a pig nose, right? So I don't know if he was like supposed to be a Tellarite or he didn't have tusks. I don't think. I don't remember. We had so little time to get to know him.
That was just a throwaway gag, I think.
I feel like Patinky should be up there with your Kayshans and your Badgies, but I think Patinky's going to be forgotten.
Patinky, his book open.
His book's open. All
Books.
5 of them. Well, other than Shaq's just straight eating dung, I think I'm pretty much washed up with things to talk about. The one thing I will talk about real quick is that Shax is back, and Shax does the one thing that he did the joke, so I didn't have to on this episode. But he, like, every time he says the word, he says another version of the word. And so he's like saying, "Oh, we got to get these Mugato. Did you see the Mugato? Where's that Gumato?" And he just kind of keeps cycling through them, which I thought was that's solid. That's a solid bit.
Even he knows the Trek lore.
He
knows the real life Trek lore.
Right.
They all
That's
do.
pretty good.
But yeah, and then plus, speaking of knowing Trek lore, this is a show for Trek nerds, and it literally stars Trek nerds. And so, if that's true, you can't set up a plot point where these 2 guys see her clearly sucking, Gumato poison out of her, like, fellow crew member and not trying to, like, kill him. And then have for 2 acts, they run around, like, thinking that she's going to kill them. Like, they know it. I'm sitting on the couch. I know what she's doing. It's chaotic. A lot of stuff's going on. Did I lose everybody? Oh, Ella's gone. If anyone is within the sound of my voice, hold on. This is where we play the technical difficulties music. All right, we've got Gooey Fame back.
Hey.
All right. The problems of doing a show live.
Hey.
we're gonna see if we can get Ella back. But before we do, or as we do, I was gonna ask you at this point in the show, we usually have a kind of our conspiracy corner, our tinfoil hat theory, and the current running one is, what's up with Boimler? Do you think that this is like a different Boimler? Do you think that there's a difference between Boimler and his transporter clone? Do we have the wrong Boimler?
Did they hint?
I think that they seem to imply that they were essentially the same, like when they got split, but then one of them, does want to specifically stay on the Titan, and the other one is, misses the chance. So, like, is there a difference between them? Because you remember Second Chances, right? Thomas Riker is the way he is because he's lived alone for 7 or 8 years or whatever. But in this case, it kind of seems like there's something different between them.
Sorry, I got dropped out there for a second, but didn't they imply when they made the clone of him, the other guy was the clone? It seemed like, right, and he had an immediate change.
Well, so that's great thing you're pointing out here, because they beam one up, then the other one immediately shows up, right? And they don't put like a red X on one of their hands or something. Then we cut to another scene, and there's just two of them. So, like, which is which at that point? Like, they tell us,
okay.
One comes back, and he's like, well, here I am, I'm back. But is that the new one, or is that the old one?
Oh, that makes me question, because I guess my initial reading was like, he immediately thought, I am a clone. I'm just gonna, like, and whatever that was, like, unleashed something within him where he's like, all these things that have been holding me back, anxieties and stuff like that. I'm just a cool guy now.
Interesting.
I'm cool. Yeah.
I love that. I love that idea.
I don't know what it would be like to be a clone, but I feel like you might have that feeling of like, am I even a person? Or, you know what I mean? Am I the same person? Can I remake myself?
It's like a huge life change. It's like that he's told that he's gonna die. He's got a fatal disease or something like that. But then it turns out he doesn't. He's like, I've got a new lease on life. Honey, I want a divorce. Boss, I quit.
But maybe I could see that going in the other direction. Or maybe he just saw TNG and he was like, well, this is what happened to the Riker who didn't get
that's true.
Transported. So.
That's true. Okay, once again, you made a great point, and I think we kind of got the show over a barrel, which is something literally happened to him that like happened to Riker. And so if he knows all about the logs and stuff like that, why aren't we exploring it through the lens of what he thinks about, the difference between Riker? But then we have to figure out, like, does Thomas Riker still exist? Is he still around in 2380 or 2381?
He must, right?
He went to jail.
He did go to jail.
And then I was like,
although
could any
posh penal colony hold Thomas Riker? I don't think so.
If it can't hold Thomas Paris.
Ella,
we need to get the Rikers and the Boimlers together to figure this out.
Yeah, I think so. Ella, we were talking about the tinfoil hat theory for this season so far, and it's the two Boimlers. Did we get the clone back? Is there a difference between them? Is the original Boimler still on the Titan? What's up with the clones?
I was thinking about that, but then I was like, what advantage would clone Boimler have by saying that it was regular Boimler? I guess they wouldn't treat him like a clone?
Well, that's true. You
think he'll come back and be evil? You guys talk about that?
We did not talk about the sort of evil twin thing.
Come back with a purple goatee?
That's purple goatee. Yeah, that's very possible.
Well, the issue with the Rikers was that there was such a gap in time and so much had gone on, but here it's instantaneous. So like,
right
up until that moment, they've literally had the exact same exact experiences.
Yeah, and who can say what a decision any of us would make, in any situation? But like one of them is like, no, I want to stay. And the other one's like, oh, okay, I'll go back. And so I just wonder what the division is there.
Maybe it's like he saw something, he saw himself, and he saw something within himself that he didn't like. And the one who stayed was like the first one to like, I'm going to take this opportunity to mark my territory because I know what I would do if, one person did this, which was I would get out of there. It can't be two of me.
Right. I just can't lose another Ambo Jitsu match to Mariner. I can't do it.
Do you think they've like hinted at maybe like there was going to be some kind of like romantic plot with the two main characters, right? Or am I just okay? So is there an episode where the cool Boimler comes and she's into him?
Oh,
that's a good one.
I could see that happening. Yeah.
That'd be funny.
Because right now, the way I see when they're hinting at this romance, it's like, well, he's kind of lame. Like, he's lame. And
so Mariner falls for Cool Boimler because she can have it all. She can keep her friend and date, this guy that she also kind of has feelings for. Interesting.
Oh, my God, that's
Gooey,
hilarious.
you cracked it. Yeah, Gooey cracked it. God,
yeah.
You're never coming on the show again. You make us look like idiots.
Tinfoil hats off. That's just a regular. That's just what's going to happen. That's just the script.
Tinfoil hats off. Well, I think that's...
The Boiler Whisperer.
The Boiler Whisperer. I think that'll do it for the show this week. Thanks for joining us, listeners. And if you like what you hear, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at EISTPod for updates and to get notified when new episodes of both Enterprising Individuals and Discoverage are released. And you can tweet to us on the show by using the hashtag Discoverage, or email us at eistpod@gmail.com. And while you're on the internet, why not head to your listening platform of choice and subscribe to the show feed. Give us a rating and a review. It really helps us out. If you want to help the show grow, stop by our Patreon page at patreon.com/EISTpod. And as always, if you like the show, tell a friend. Discoverage will return on September 9th for the 4th episode of Season 2 of Star Trek Lower Decks. And the title, again, we just don't know. It hasn't been announced yet. I'm sure it'll be announced in a couple hours, but too late. So I can tell you, looking at IMDb, that Richard Kind, comedic actor Richard Kind, will be on the show as a character named Doopler. So I'm looking forward to that. And Paul Scheer, who is a comedic actor, has played a couple different roles on the show, is playing the role of groundskeeper. And now the only groundskeeper that I know is Boothby from the Academy. So, and of course, we can't have My Favorite Martian on anymore, but I wonder if he'll be playing maybe some kind of Boothby type character at the Academy. We don't know, but we'll be here next Thursday to tell you. We'll be going live once again at 8 p.m. Central, so join us then. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook at EISTPod to get notified when we're live and broadcasting. And in the meantime, check out our main show, Enterprising Individuals, at enterprisingindividuals.com. Every Wednesday on the show, I and a special guest discuss in excruciating detail a selected episode from a Star Trek series. We also have news from the Trek sphere and interviews with special guests. Our latest episode has just dropped, and on it I'm joined by Mark LaCroix of Nice Games Club podcast. And we sat down to talk about Star Trek video games. There's a lot of Star Trek video games, but not as many as you think. And honestly, there's no really good ones, like grade A ones. And we talk about why that is. We talk about the history of video games and Trek and their connection, and also Mark's work as a game developer. It's a fascinating discussion, and of course, Matt has more to say on this topic with his work, on YouTube. So check out that episode. You can hear it at enterprisingindividuals.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Ella, thanks, as always, for joining me. I'm glad that you're back safe. And remind people where they can find you online.
Thank you. First of all, okay, odds that Doopler is the duplicate Boimler.
You
like 50-50?
You want to run odds right now here? 50-50?
Like 30-70? Yeah.
Well, they're going to... Okay, so they have to do something with it. And I would have said more than... I would have said 60-40, maybe 75-25, until I heard Gooey's theory about the clone being, an antagonist or a rival for him later. So I'd actually go the other way, but not much. I would say 40-60.
Yeah. Everyone buy their Tom Paris plate so you can have it signed by Robert Duncan McNeil.
Yeah, right. Of course.
That's my commercial for the day. Everyone follow Star Trek Unlimited on Twitter.
Yeah, what's coming up on Generations Geek?
Sherlock Holmes episode, like any day.
Cool.
And a very expansive Sherlock Holmes episode with a special guest. So
awesome.
Everyone check that out.
And Gooey, thanks again for joining us. When we talked about the It episode, what else is coming up on Backtracking in the future?
We're about to do a Lower Decks episode. Actually, I think our first one, and we're doing the episode Veritas.
Yeah,
and it's kind of a drumhead. At least they reference it, and it's a court
very
episode,
explicitly. So. Yes,
it's hard to come up with a Lower Decks one that's like based on anything that's not Star Trek.
I think it's a boon. I think it's a godsend for our show because we talk about the inspiration behind Trek episodes, and so now we can just like look at Lower Decks episodes and then also watch the Trek episode that mainly inspired it. So yeah,
that's what they want you to do. So
where can people find you online, Gooey?
You can find me on Twitter at GooeyFame.
All right, and that's it for us. Oh, sorry, I was going to say you can find me on Twitter at KA1IBAN and all the shows on the Just Enough Trope Network at Just Enough Trope on Twitter. And that's it for us. Thanks for listening. We're signing off. This is Aaron for Ella and Gooey saying live long and prosper.